Hi, I'm Tim. I just want to say, just finished my workout for the day, and it was not my best workout. So every week I try to increase by a little bit. Um, just how I like to do it, take those baby steps to greatness. And today I didn't do that. I didn't hit a new level. Wasn't able to make those small gains, and I went back a little ways on some workouts. Wasn't able to hit what I wanted to. And for me, it's a very frustrating feeling. I get very frustrated when I can't do just a little bit better. I get more frustrated when I just do the exact same. And I'm very frustrated with myself when I can't hit where I want to go and where I do less than what I did the week before. That's very, very frustrating for me. It's very easy for me to beat up on myself in that. And I just want to say, for me, I really try not to give in to that frustration, give in to that thing where you want to say, mean things to yourself or be hard on yourself in a negative way. I think it's important to, motivate yourself. You can be very realistic about when you're not hitting your goals and say things to motivate yourself, as long as you don't trip into that realm of saying negative things. There's a lot of videos out there and different people that will be like talking to themselves like, I get it there, and man, when I don't hit it, I'm like, oh, you're a piece of crap, come on, man, like you can do better, like what do you want in your life? Do you want to be a fat lazy bum? Come on, get off your lazy butt. And they got, that's the kind of routine in which they speak to themselves. And I don't think that is best. I think it's best to be honest, be like, hey man, you're not hitting your goals, like push. Like you can do this. I know you can do this. Like push harder. And then when you can't, if it falls short, then you're like, hey, you know what? You didn't hit your goals. Next week's another week. Tomorrow's another day. Hit it again. Try again. Pushing with a positive message of like, hey, you can do this and you will do this, not just the negative side of it. I think I don't remember where I heard it, but I've heard it a few times. But there's an idea that your self-talk, the way you motivate yourself, should be in line with the way you would motivate someone that you love. So for me, like I think about my wife or my kids, and I try not to talk to myself in a way that I wouldn't talk to them. I try not to motivate myself in a way that I wouldn't motivate them. And there's an important element to this, especially as a dad, as a husband, is that eventually or I am currently and will continue to have to try to help my kids reach their goals and be successful. And if I have only ever learned to push myself in a negative way, to be discouraging, to use, discouraging talk, or to be pointing out all my negative, if that's how I've caused myself to grow, that's the only way I know to reach success. And that's what I'm going to do to my kids. And I don't want to do that to my kids. I don't think that's the, I don't think that is the healthy way to motivate children. And you could disagree, and do it however you want to do. But I'm not going to tell my kids, like, get out of bed, you lazy bums. Like, go, come on, look at you, you fat slobs. Like, that is not a good parenting technique. I do think, being firm and stuff is key, but there's a difference between being firm and being abusive. And I think it's important to remember again when you're talking to yourself. You can be firm, just don't be abusive. You can reach success. You can let's say your goal is you want to be shredded, right? And you you focus on using those techniques, and you're very negative to yourself, and you stand in the mirror and you're like, look at you, you fat slob, like, come on, like, let's get after it, don't be this disgusting mess. And you say these negative things to yourself. When you reach that pinnacle of success, you're going to be there, and all you're going to be able to think about is the negative stuff that you've just been piling on yourself. All that negative reinforcement, it's going to be there, and you're not going to feel good when you get there. And if you don't think that's true, go watch the videos of guys that talk to themselves that way and see if they seem happy there. They may be ripped, they may be huge, they may have nice cars, they may have money, but do they really look happy? Do they really look like the person you want to be? And I think the people will say like, oh, well, you can't be positive all the time. And I think, you can't be like blowing rainbows and unicorns and stardust out your backside and covering yourself in it all the time. That's true. But you can be realistic, and positive at the same time. And I would say the biggest argument I can think of for positivity and finding those positive attributes in yourself and using those to motivate yourself is that if you think of positivity as light and you think of those negatives of darkness, the popular side of things is that, or popular imagery is that there's not a single case where darkness beats the light. Anytime you have light, light always destroys the darkness. You've never seen a dark room expand into a whole house and then that darkness leaves the house and fights the sun and fights the light. No, every time there's light, darkness loses. If you fill yourself up with positive affirmation and realistic positive affirmation, I'm not talking about like looking at something that is negative and being like, that's a beautiful lump of fat on my body. Like, this is the beautiful part. I don't, for me, that's not helpful. But I will look at the positive things and say, yeah, you know what, that's not good. Like, that brings you discomfort. That makes it harder to sit up. It makes it harder to be mobile. But you can push past that. You've got some good muscle under there. You can work through it. You can lose that fat. You can do positive things with that. Using that light to fight the darkness, using positivity to fight the negative attributes of who you are, I think is a much better road to go than just pounding yourself with negative and frustrating comments. That's the way I see it, and that's the way I try to do it. It can be hard. I get very frustrated with myself, but trying to hold to that, I think, is a much better route than just beating yourself up and beating yourself to death. And again, if you spend that whole time being negative, you're going to reach that top, you're going to reach that level of success that you think, and you're going to find out that, you've kind of just destroyed your emotional, spiritual, mental state in getting there. And it's not going to be a good spot to be at. So try to be positive with yourself in a way that is effective and not just, like I said, just blowing stardust out your back end. Like, be realistic, be positive, use that positive side to break down the bad side.